Folks, yesterday there was no urban agenda at all in President Trump's speech, joint session to Congress. He mentioned Chicago, he mentioned Baltimore, he mentioned Detroit a couple times, but there was nothing backing it up. Let's go back to our panel. Do we expect to actually see an urban renewal plan? He talks about it, and in his idea of how do you fix the problem is strength.
Well, the urban...
That's the plan, strength.
Roland, the urban plan is part of the larger Trumptopia. In other words, law and order. The answer to solve these problems is more police, more force. In other words, what Trump did last night was give the inauguration speech, except they sanded around the edges. So when he's talking about strength, as he told you, when he's talking about law and order, what he's saying is we're going to get these black people together, and black and poor are coterminous in this. We're going to get them together by dropping the hammer on them. Remember what he said in that first day of Black History Month when he's telling people, you tell them to get their act together, we're going to have to come in. That's the answer. The answer is not improving communities. The answer isn't more jobs. The answer isn't clearly with his budget, $54 billion for defense and sapping everything else. No, the answer is we're going to put this stick on you. And that's what Jeff Sessions told those AGs yesterday morning.
Well, when I went to the Department of Justice in 2009, Attorney General Holder identified a big problem. There was this huge tough on crime movement that contributed to mass incarceration. It actually made us less safe because there was a lot of human capital out there of people who were frankly learning how to be criminals as a result of this over-incarceration as opposed to being productive citizens, and we moved towards smart on crime. Unfortunately, I think we're seeing a sea change, and we're retreating from being smart on crime, and we're going to be less safe.
Sue, have you seen the evidence of an urban renewal plan?
Well, on that day, he signed the proposal to move the committee for the HBCUs into the White House, away from the Department of Ed.
Okay, that's an education issue. I asked for an urban renewal plan.
Exactly. What is the key way for urban renewal is, one, to increase people's access from, as he says in his announcement, from cradle to college, of these people who give them the hope for an education.
Sue, but
cradle to college.
Sue, but you have,
that is the number one way to raise people out of these urban areas.
Sue, you have, but first of all, you're not raising them out of the urban areas. They can remain there. You want to change the economic conditions of those areas.
Okay.
But Sue, you have Sue, Education Secretary, who releases a statement where she said that HBCUs were created because of school choice.
Pioneers in school choice.
She said that they were pioneers in a way of an example of allowing people who don't have the opportunities they should to have a different opportunity.
So HBCUs were created because we could not go to white schools. That ain't school choice. We didn't. Matter of fact, we didn't have a choice.
No.
See, choice means I can go here, I can go here. Choice ain't, don't you bring your black ass here. That's what that is. That's what segregation was. Right. And I had to go there because that's what it was. So when you have an education secretary who don't even know the difference between why an HBCU was created, because you had white colleges that said you will not come here. The law.
That's exactly what she said in her follow-up statement. You just cut off the part that you didn't like.
Sue, I'm sorry, I read the whole statement.
She went to Twitter and cleaned it up because once again there had been a huge foot in the mouth.
Because we jacked her up.
But I think we really, while mainstream media is fawning over a president who can read at the level of a fifth grader and not that well without effort, what we really need to focus on is what was said. Where urban renewal is concerned, forget about the stuff about the police. He said, and Republicans sat on him when he said it, all the money that was going to be spent on infrastructure that was necessary. This is just another opportunity to pay his cronies and to start the national regentrification of the city program. That's the urban renewal plan. I disagree, Roland. The people aren't going to be able to stay. The entire plan is to push out the bad guys. If the bad guys are immigrants, if the bad guys are young people in the streets committing crime, whoever they are, and what it will look like is a commitment to dollars for municipalities, but those dollars will not go to minority contractors, and those dollars will not go to housing that can be afforded. We will look at extremities, and we've seen it. It's already happened under every other Republican administration. We're just about to see it again.
Sue, let's tie the two things together. Last night when he says education is the civil right, stealing from Bob Moses and people who've been been talking about this for years. I mean, Bannon, that is. He could have very easily, when he evoked Chicago, let's tie together the HBCUs and this whole question of no urban plan. He could have very easily said, I'm going to work on restoring and enhancing Pell Grants, including the Pell Grant Reserve Fund, so that schools like Chicago State University, which are on life support, an HBCU or HBCU affiliate in Chicago, I can connect that so these folks who are in the streets can get an education. He didn't do that because he's not even thinking that way. I mean, he's just an empty suit that's being filled with an agenda. That's why.
I think if you talk and you read some of the quotes from the presidents from the HBCUs, several of them said this was the most attention we've gotten for the last 9 years.
We came in here and nobody talked to us. We weren't able to talk. That's what Kimbrough said.
They're not saying there were plenty of other quotes that said the opposite. You just want to hear what you want to hear.
We said we're supposed to get 2 minutes apiece, and we got 1 minute.
Again, let me be clear. An urban renewal plan is not an HBCU plan.
Right.
Because it's not, Sue.
And there still isn't an HBCU plan.
I've been a city hall reporter, a county government reporter, a housing reporter. I've covered HBCUs. Urban renewal plan is not an HBCU plan because here's why. The college is at the end of the process. If you ignore K through 12, then you can't even get to the HBCU.
If you read the executive order, it talks about
you can't read it because they haven't released it.
You
can't read it because they haven't released it.
I've read the entire thing, and giving the HBCUs a nice warm hug and saying we see you is not the same as dollars infused to be able to get kids to go to college.
A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. His hands are in the air, and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not gonna let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally.
What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
NewsOne Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.